From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Annika Walters. Tonight we're taking a look at the stories that introduce us to new technology. Everything from allowing the deaf to communicate in an emergency to developing robotics to help man and man's best friend.
For those who are deaf, calling 911 in an emergency isn't always an option, but some departments are now using a texting system. I spoke to Lake Havasu PD and a deaf specialist about how this helps those with speech and hearing difficulties.
They always have that fear of not having immediate access to emergency services.
Becca Bailey is deaf and knows firsthand what it's like not to be able to quickly communicate during an emergency. She shared her experiences with us through a translator. Right now, Lake Havasu City is the only city in the state to have 911 texting capabilities.
It's important in a lot of different situations. We've had a lot of positive feedback from the deaf, hard of hearing, and speech impaired community. This gives them direct and immediate access to our 911 services, but it can also be used in the event of an emergency where someone can't make a voice call.
Bailey says people of the deaf and hard of hearing community in the valley are frustrated that it's not available everywhere. Typically, people contact the police department by calling 911, but connecting with police through voice call isn't as practical for someone who is deaf or hard of hearing. In the event of an emergency, people of the deaf and hard of hearing community have to communicate with police through a third party. Becca Bailey said it took her nearly 3 hours to get help when she got into an accident. In order for someone who is deaf or hard of hearing to contact police, they have to first contact an interpreter through a video relay service. The VRS operator will then contact police and act as a middleman, relaying information back and forth.
So during text, we can text directly with the operator ourselves and have faster access to those services, and it results in a more effective communication.
Bailey says that the problem with VRS is that it doesn't work well without Wi-Fi, and there's a delay in getting information out quickly.
And there are some situations that have come up where they've tried to reach 911 even through a non-emergency phone number, and it's been a struggle and it's been very frustrating for people. So we do need to have that here in the state of Arizona.
The Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing is hopeful that Maricopa County will have text to 911 within 6 to 12 months. Since implementing the system in April, Lake Havasu PD has received 11 text messages, with 2 of them being success stories.
The Tucson Police Department now has a new training system to teach officers how to decide when to fire their weapons. I visited Tucson to see how the simulator works.
Put it down, put it down.
Tucson police officers are surrounded by screens and confronted with the aftermath of a shooting.
The virtual system is an interactive virtual training system that's designed to train firearms and decision-making for police officers.
Norman Shepner will be training other officers using the high-tech system. The goal, to help officers decide when to shoot.
We can run a variety of scenarios from active shooter training down to communication de-escalation training and having officers work with people potentially in crisis.
Most importantly, Virtua gives officers the edge they did not have with the old one-screen system.
It provides a more realistic encounter with the scenarios that we provide or are provided for us that make the officer be aware of his total surroundings.
The Tucson Police Department plans to use the system for training officers in as many different ways as possible.
We certainly want to use it for a variety of scenarios. Shoot, no shoot, decision making, situations where you might use a less lethal tool.
High-profile shootings in several cities across the U.S. have led police departments to update their training.
Put the gun down.
I think any training is a way to look at any instance where we can take a specific scenario an officer was involved in and say, maybe we could have done this better.
Tucson police officers will start training with the new virtual system next week, and other law enforcement agencies in southern Arizona will also get to use the simulator.
91 Americans die from opioid overdoses every day, according to the CDC. A hospital in Metro LA is experimenting with a way to reduce pain without using these drugs. Cronkite News Los Angeles reporter Lauren Negrete sat down with a so-called virtualist doctor who's prescribing virtual reality sessions instead of drugs.
Whoa. Cedars-Sinai Hospital, known for innovation, is knocking out pain in a new way.
We think about virtual reality as a therapy, and what we're trying to do is understand whether, when, and how to use it.
Dr. Spiegel says virtual reality therapy is an opportunity to treat pain and anxiety without dangerous opioids.
And so we tell them to use it for at least 10 minutes 3 times a day, and then as long as they need to if they're having pain. We're doing a new study right now to see if that regimen helps reduce opioid medication usage, reduce pain scores.
Oh, it's people. Hey.
Dr. Spiegel has over 30 visualizations to help his patients, including this aerial view of Iceland. It's a 360 video, so you can look up and down and all around.
It's pretty relaxing. Especially with the music and everything, and then the different scenery, like almost made me forget I was here.
I mean, I can get far closer to them than I could in the gallery.
Todd Richmond is showing us a virtual reality art project at USC's Creative Institute.
And then I can make them spin.
Richmond believes in the power of virtual reality to fight pain, but he's researching why it works so he can make it even more effective. And he hopes doctors prescribe it with caution.
Those VR prescriptions presumably could be misused as well, and we want to understand how those mechanisms will take place as well, so we can try and figure out how we can navigate that and make it safer for people.
For patients at Cedars-Sinai, the technology reduced pain by about 25%, bringing these patients a much-needed escape.
This is an immersive experience that could be used to transport patients who are locked in a hospital room.
In Los Angeles, Lauren Negrete, Cronkite News.
Controlling a robot using just your mind. 3 doctoral students studying computer science at ASU are working on just that, ways humans can communicate with robots using brainwaves and augmented reality. Cronkite News reporter Cassidy McDonald found out how these techniques could be implemented in the workplace.
Already, robots and artificial intelligence are used to get tasks done. But what's next in the technology? That's what the ASU team who took part in the 2017 U.S. finals of the Microsoft Imagine Cup are figuring out.
So automation is inevitable, right? So it's a lot of jobs already lost in that case. Many countries have shown that if you put humans and robots together in the workplace, you not only improve employment, you also improve productivity.
The ASU-led project by 3 doctoral students examines how to safely and effectively allow humans and robots to communicate.
But with half robots, half humans, it becomes difficult. A couple of years back in the Volkswagen factory, when there was actually a fatal incident when a robot killed a human worker. The human couldn't tell what the robot was going to do.
The doctoral team says that communication between humans and robots would allow for increased productivity in the workplace by allowing them to anticipate each other's movements and project goals.
The main thing that is required in such scenarios is for the robot to understand humans' perspective of how the environment looks.
The team say they do this with augmented reality and brainwave technology.
So these brainwaves, they usually capture like mental states of the humans, relaxed, stressed, excited. The robot would come and help the human depending on the human's current state.
The team believes that these collaborations will be much more common in the workplace within 5 years.
We're trying to invent the society we're going to live in, and I would be very depressed if the society I live in basically has no actual place for humans. They should be working together.
We believe in augmentation, using robots as an augmentation rather than a replacement.
The team is in the process of conducting human practice studies to see how humans will respond to these new communication techniques. In Tempe, Cassidy McDonald, Cronkite News.
The ASU Robotics doctoral team has discussed their findings at international artificial intelligence and robotics conferences. They hope to continue to improve the methods in which humans and robots communicate after analyzing the results from their human practice studies.
Hundreds from around the world are here in Phoenix competing for the most innovative exoskeleton product at the 2017 Wearacon. Reporter Drew Marine shows us these exoskeletons and how they may help people with medical needs.
These are some of the smartest people in the world, in the room, and it's humbling just to be near a lot of them.
The Innovation Challenge has brought out many different prototypes from people from around the world, including Switzerland and Italy, to different states in the U.S. After submitting videos demonstrating their product, 7 contestants are accepted to come to Wearacon and pitch their ideas to engineering and robotics professionals.
All 7 finalists have the opportunity to win $5,000 that go towards commercializing their product and making more prototypes of their product, like this one, that acts as a 6th finger for compensating hand functions.
While some of the finalists had other people in mind to use their products, one was inspired to create his exoskeleton after facing some of his own medical issues.
As I said, this is born out of my own struggle with plantar fasciitis, so it's been an inventor's love.
And another hopes to educate high school students about the importance of the growing industry of robotics and exoskeletons.
It's a do-it-yourself kit that you assemble yourself, you wire yourself, you program yourself, and by doing so you will learn about robotics and about robotic exoskeleton.
To possibly inspire the next generation of inventors. In Phoenix, Drew Marine, Cronkite News.
And the ASU Exo Do-It-Yourself Robotics Kit won the $5,000 award.
And whether it's hanging out by the pool, yoga, meditation, or massages, everyone has a way they like to relax. Cronkite News reporter Amanda Luberto shows us a new trend in relaxation.
I did it the first time and I was hooked. I'm very impressed on the level of the depth of relaxation that you get from this.
At flotation therapy centers like True Rest in Arizona, clients enter, watch a short video while they relax, and then enter a flotation pod with over 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. The company says the Epsom salts help the clients to feel completely weightless during their experiences.
In flotation therapy, you float in this pod until you feel one with the water and as if you are floating in space. They call it therapy because it has therapeutic benefits for both the body, especially the muscles, and the mind.
According to a 2017 report by the American Psychological Association, at least 65% of Americans say they feel stress, and that number is on the rise. True Rest founder Holly Janicki says the Epsom salts help release toxins from your muscles and create zero gravity feel. Clients in the pod also experience sensory deprivation.
Pain relief has been huge for people, and overall stress relief, huge. Rest and recovery is great for athletes.
While some people are still skeptical, Janicki says that each float is different and up to the client. In Scottsdale, Amanda Luberto, Cronkite News.
And each pod is about the size of a queen-sized bed, and each session lasts around an hour.
A Chandler Elementary School is using a 3D system to give their students a leg up. Cronkite News reporter Alexa Stukrath found out what the program is and how it's helping students.
5th and 6th graders at Chandler Traditional Academy's Independence campus are using a new computer program called VSpace to expose students to aspects of the engineering, STEM, and mathematics fields as potential careers.
We come from an area where many of our families are engineer families, and we saw that there was a great need to expose our students and to prepare our students.
All students have to do is put on a pair of 3D glasses and pick up a stylus to start exploring the virtual reality of VSpace. This program allows students a hands-on investigation with something they are expected to learn in their science classes.
5th grade is looking at human body systems right now. We took a look at the skeletal system as well as the muscular system, and then next week we'll be building a hand.
Chandler Unified School District understands that new innovation like this is the key to getting kids excited about learning.
If we don't at some point learn how to match what they're experiencing in their gaming experiences at home, that engagement may dissipate.
We get to learn along with having fun. I think that's better for a lot of students because sometimes you might get a little bored in class just listening to your teacher talk all day.
In the classroom, students learn critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and one other important lesson.
They needed the permission to not have things go successfully or as successful as they had imagined from their first try.
CTA is the first school in the East Valley to use VSpace in their science classrooms. In Chandler, Alexa Stukrath, Cronkite News.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, women make up only 12% of civil engineers. CTA hopes this program will encourage more girls to enter similar STEM fields.
A practice that has been going on since the late 1970s is now a booming industry with businesses across the country. Though it could be used for multiple reasons, it has yet to be approved as a form of medical treatment. Cronkite News reporter Jelani Martinez visited a business in California that offers this therapy.
That was Deborah Olson's first time trying cryotherapy. She turned to the treatment to help ease her chronic pain.
I had a ton of adrenaline just trying to stay warm, so I was kind of jumping up and down and twirling around and screaming and trying to breathe.
Cryotherapy is a combination of ice and liquid nitrogen to reduce inflammation and swelling.
It's a non-invasive, non-chemical, non-prescription way of helping fight pain.
Clients stand in a chamber for 3 minutes in temperatures as low as -202 degrees.
Freezing!
Aside from pain management, it has also helped returning customers like Ray Doctor boost his metabolism.
After I started doing cryotherapy, probably within, I would say, the 10th time, I started seeing things happen to my abs. I started tightening up, which is really cool.
Though it has been around for a while, the FDA has not approved the use of the device for the treatment of any medical condition because they are unaware of any valid scientific evidence demonstrating its safety.
I think that's kind of the next step in the progression here of this treatment is getting to a place where it's more standardized and regulated, and then I think the FDA will hopefully reevaluate and change kind of the initial stance it had.
The FDA encourages customers to speak to their doctors before trying a new treatment. Though it may not be considered a medical treatment, first-timers like Deborah seem to like the results.
I'm definitely going to do it again because I can already feel a little difference, It's been a lot of pain I've been in, and I think that doing this kind of thing is something that I'm more interested in than chiropractor.
In Santa Monica, Jolani Martinez, Cronkite News.
A Tempe-based company has found a way to help eliminate disease-causing and crop-damaging insects while sparing the beneficial ones. Alexa Arms shows us how this new bug zapper works.
When you think of bug zappers, you think of those loud, buzzing, blue hanging canisters on your porch. But one Valley company is giving it a makeover.
We were approached by a company called SolarRid, and we started working with them to make this product.
The device uses 5 different outputs like smell, light, and sound to attract specific insects like mosquitoes, horn earworms, and navel orange worms, which are harmful to crops and can cause disease.
Well, our most common mosquito that is making people sick is Culex quincofasciatus and Culex tarsalis. Then pick up the West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis virus.
78 people contracted the West Nile virus in Arizona last year, and 5 of those died, according to the Arizona Department of Health Services. The SolarRid device runs on solar power and reduces the need for pesticides to be sprayed on crops.
Just think of the advantages of instead of spraying these poisons across this whole wide area, if you can have the insects come to you, then you're only killing in this little tiny spot.
Maricopa County Vector Control says they only use about a teaspoon of pesticide per acre. But the makers of the solar device say that just one of their bug zappers can control insects for nearly 10 acres.
If we had less mosquitoes, then we wouldn't have to use as much, but it's one of the tools that we have.
The Flynn Foundation recently chose Phoenix Interface Technologies to participate in its Bioscience Entrepreneurship Program, which helps early-stage bioscience companies grow. It will receive $30,000 in funding support and program services. In Tempe, Alexa Arms, Cronkite News.
The concept is simple. If it's broken, don't throw it away. Fix it. Cronkite News reporter Chantel Delagula shows us how one community is reducing landfill by saving the life of everyday items.
When we get a hole in our shirt or a wire becomes loose, usually we'd throw it away. But that's not the case here at Pasadena's Repair Cafe, where anyone can bring in what's broken and have it repaired by tinkerers and seamstresses.
Really use the resources that we have to create value for ourselves and for our own community.
The European concept of Repair Cafe was to fix basic household items, but Therese Brummel brought it to her hometown with a bigger purpose in mind.
This is the whole concept of Repair Cafe here in Pasadena, which is to build local community, emphasis on local.
The pop-up cafe is open to the public about 10 times a year. News travels by word of mouth. Volunteers bring their own tools, and venues donate their space.
You only take what you need, and you give back when you can. I think that the whole idea of Repair Cafe means less stuff goes to the dump.
To the average person, these gadgets can be challenging, but for aerospace engineer Peter Chang, it's a walk in the park.
A lot of these things are designed specifically not to be repaired, but in comparison to spacecraft, they're pretty simple.
It just helps with your basic budget to not always have to be buying new stuff.
Not every item can be repaired, but their goal in bringing community members together is accomplished every time.
We're trying to change the world one repair at a time.
In Pasadena, Chantel Del Aguila, Cronkite News.
We checked with the Repair Cafe organization. They're popping up in places like Seattle, Chicago, and the Washington, D.C. area. But so far, no locations in Arizona. Any local tinkerers are encouraged to contact the group to start a cafe of their own.
Sports teams are embracing virtual reality. Cronkite sports reporter Troy Lynch takes a look at how the Diamondbacks and Suns are using this technology to take the fan experience to the next level.
I'm good, I think. What is this?
During the offseason, the Arizona Diamondbacks installed a virtual reality bullpen to give fans an in-depth look at the major league experience. That followed the Phoenix Suns' implementation of the technology in January, when they brought VR to fans' phones.
For us, it's about being on the forefront of technology, and particularly how technology impacts sports and the fan experience, and how our sponsors and partners are able to utilize it as well, and kind of bringing all those pieces together.
We've started to see it become a little bit more mainstream in sports, and so a couple other teams have done it. The NBA has been pretty good about using VR, and not that many baseball teams have taken advantage of it yet, so we really want to take advantage of the access that we have at spring training, the fact that our players are really excited about the technology.
The Diamondbacks are one of the 2 MLB franchises who actually use virtual reality. They shot all of their stuff during spring training, and they used 14 GoPros at a time to get all of their footage.
And baseball is such a unique game. There's so many fast moments, using the technology to let fans have a look behind the scenes.
Some of the Rallybacks, the Diamondbacks in-game entertainment crew, tried the equipment out for the first time, and they said they had a blast getting even closer to the action than they usually do.
When they came up, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm in your way. Like, let me move out of your way, because, you know, MLB players. But other than that, it's really cool just to see them and see how they are and how they're interacting with one another.
We've been averaging about 350 fans a night coming through it, so we're open from the time the gates open all the way through the 7th inning.
Right now, the Diamondbacks' main focus with the VR bullpen is to create a unique experience when fans come to Chase Field. But the Phoenix Suns are trying to make virtual reality available directly on your phone. In Phoenix, Troy Lynch, Cronkite News.
Basketball wasn't the only Final Four this weekend. Reporter Kaylee Nassif went to a startup competition where entrepreneurs were the star athletes.
Arizona State University and electronic company Avnet sponsored the Final Four of the Innovation Open, a new ASU program looking to help develop student-led startups on the West Coast.
Why don't we have a regional hub of entrepreneurship supporting students, much the way that we might see with an MIT Enterprise Open? And so we thought of the Innovation Open as a way to support region-wide student entrepreneurs.
Students from ASU, University of Arizona, and California Lutheran University pitched their ideas to a panel of judges. Pitch days lined up at the Phoenix Open and the Final Four, so ASU decided they wanted to celebrate these entrepreneurs the same way sports fans celebrate athletes.
Entrepreneurship is the kind of thing that you need a chance to exercise. You need to really get in there and see what it feels like to body block and to work in teams.
The ASU Innovation Open works a lot like March Madness. They start out with a pool of applicants, then narrow it down to 36, and through pitches and demonstrations, they're able to get it to a Final Four. Except the winner here doesn't go home with a trophy, they go home with $100,000.
Usually what I do is I kind of sit outside and stretch a little bit before I get started, just because I need to take some deep breaths before I present. And I was still kind of a little wired when I got up there. It didn't quite feel real.
Somatic Labs, a team of ASU and U of A students, won for their wearable device Moment. The device uses vibrations to alert blind and visually impaired people of incoming phone calls and GPS directions. They already have 230 pre-orders, make regular changes to the device based off what those customers want in a product.
It's always a matter of designing something, giving it to someone, and then figuring out all the ways that they don't like it and seeing how we can address those problems.
With the prize money, Somatic Labs plans to hire more team members and get a patent in place. They plan to start shipping the device to customers in June. In Phoenix, Kaylee Nassif, Cronkite News.
The Moment device costs $199 and can be ordered online.
Fulfilling a son's wish brought a furry family member halfway around the world. Cronkite News reporter Joe Constantine introduces us to this special dog in need of a leg up.
You could just tell by the look on her face that she was just an amazing soul to begin with.
Tobin Bryant was stationed in South Korea when he was hit with puppy love.
I was about 2 weeks out of leaving Osan and walked by the kennel out there. Homeward Bound is the name of the rescue. And walked by, and sitting in the kennel was this beautiful little orange husky.
Bryant's 6-year-old son wanted an orange husky more than anything, so he adopted Tara.
Tara's journey might be a lot different than you think. She started in South Korea, then made her way to Alaska, then all the way down to where she is now in Tucson, Arizona.
The rescue group believes she was destined for a meat packing plant, but now, 7,500 miles later, she's found her forever home.
She's a special girl, and I know that that family really loves her, and it's great to see that they're able to give her something to give her a fuller life.
From a quick glance, Tara looks like an ordinary dog running around and playing, but if you look closely, you'll see her back leg has a prosthetic.
You know, they thrive on that fourth leg, and I think she's a good example of that. That's a very high energy dog who wants to go. She has bursts of energy, but she can't really express those bursts of energy on just 3 legs.
Her back left leg was cut at the paw. The prosthetic allows for Tara to have that fourth paw and be able to run and play without pain. With that, though, comes rehab.
To make sure that she's using it properly, because we certainly don't want to have a device that's going to change her gait and cause compensatory issues. So we always recommend that they do rehab after they have the device.
Tara is continuing her physical therapy, but that back leg isn't slowing her down. In Tucson, Joe Constantine, Cronkite News.
Prosthetics such as Tara's cost around $1,500 and are made with the help of 3D technology.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.